and let's get started. So today what you will need is 2 blocks and a bolster. This is often, most of the time I would say, are the supports that I suggest that you use. So today we're also going to be doing quite a lot of forward and backward bending, and this stimulates the spine, and any type of poses that stimulate the spine are also working to nourish 2 meridian lines. And so this is from the traditional Chinese medicine, which is the urinary bladder and the kidney. And as you may know, the kidney is responsible for regulating the water in our body. So it is a very essential organ for our body, and it is regarded and considered really important in traditional Chinese medicine. So it's nearly 9 o'clock, so let's get started. And as usual, we're going to be starting with the breath awareness. But today, instead of 3 minutes in each pose, I'm going to propose that we stay for 5 minutes in each pose. If you are a beginner to yin yoga and you have never done this before and you find it too much, then start with 3 minutes. But we've been doing 3 minutes for quite a few weeks now, so I would like you to experiment with how it feels with 5 minutes. And as usual, I'll also be offering you alternatives. So at least 2 and sometimes 3 alternatives for each pose. Okay, so let's get started. Coming to a comfortable seated position. So sitting up on a bolster, so we can ensure that the knees are not compressed. And we can tilt the pelvis forward, which helps to create a long spine, so we can relax and not feel that the knees are being compressed. And so we're just going to do the typical breath awareness. So just closing your eyes, checking in with your posture first of all, just noticing the position of your shoulders. Your shoulders are slightly pulled back. The spine is long. The arms are relaxed. And the hands are relaxed. Don't grip your knees. And then let's just connect with the breath just for a minute. Just noticing your breath. If you've just woken up, if you're as lucky as that you can wake up a few minutes before 9 or 8, perhaps your breath is still quite slow and regular after your relaxing sleep. But otherwise, if you've been running around this morning, perhaps helping your children getting ready for school, just take this moment just to connect with your breath and bring your awareness to a slower breath. Slower breathing helps to calm our nervous system. And now just to focus on a technique to help you with the breath awareness, we're going to do 3 rounds of inhaling for 4 and exhaling for 4. So exhale completely. And now inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now if you'd like to do 2 more rounds at your own pace. And when you finish, just bringing your attention back to your breath. Okay, so I hope you're feeling a little more relaxed now, connecting with your breath. So let's move off the bolster and into the wide-legged child's pose. So alternative 1, sitting on your heels, opening your knees, and coming forward with your arms in front of you and your head on the mat. Alternative 2, placing a block underneath. This is especially if you find it uncomfortable to sit on your heels. You may even need another block if it's uncomfortable for you. Yeah, and then same thing, coming forward with the arms in front of us. Okay, so here we're going to be just for 3 minutes, just to start off here. So choosing the option that is more comfortable for you and coming forward. So this is the wide-legged child's pose, and we've added the arms to help to gently warm up the shoulders for the next pose. Opening the knees also helps to open up the hips. And if you ever struggle with child's pose with the knees closed, this is a great option to make the wonderfully restorative pose of child's pose more accessible to you. So just noticing your breath here. And noticing your body slowly waking up. And this position as well is great for digestion issues. There's a compression of our internal organs. So now slowly let's come up. And just stay here for a moment, just noticing any sensations, particularly in the front part of your body. Okay, so let's move now. We're going to move now to a pose where we'll be for 5 minutes. So I'm going to provide you with 2 options. So option 1, come to a tabletop position and move your hands in front of you and then come down with your forehead onto the mat. Option 1. Make sure you are not too much forward, that your knees are under your hips. If you find this too excessive, it's not accessible for you, bring one hand forward and the other hand bent and bring your head onto your hand. This way may be more accessible for you, and it allows you to get a little bit deeper into the stretch. Okay, so we'll be here for 5 minutes. So choose the option which appears more accessible for you. Always, when we start off, going for the option which is less aggressive for your body. If you find with your arms in front of you there's a pinching sensation in your shoulders, open your arms. So you could have your head on the mat, or you could slowly bring your chest down. But always going with how your body feels at that moment. So when you start with these poses, you may feel quite a lot of tension in your shoulders. Here we are giving there's a nice compression of the entire spine, particularly as you can imagine, as you can feel the upper body, upper back, as well as the lower back. And we are really stretching and opening up the chest. And of course the shoulders. And if you are doing the one-armed position like this, I would suggest now that you come up slightly and you change to the other side. Remember, in yin, the focus is functional, which means we are not looking for perfect alignment. We are not looking to copy the teacher. We are looking for feeling that stretch. So if you're feeling a stretch that comes from your wrists up to your upper arms, and you're feeling something across the shoulders, then that is the focus of this pose. If you're feeling pain or a stabbing sensation anywhere, as I mentioned, particularly in the shoulders, if you feel that in your shoulders, then just move your hands apart more, because there's a little bone at the top of your shoulders, which some people have, which make it very uncomfortable to have the arms straight out ahead. So in yin, what we do is we look for adaptations to the pose so that your body can find the benefit of the pose despite any differences in your anatomy, because we are all different. And yin invites us to discover more about our body, focusing on stretching an area rather than focusing on trying to copy someone else who has a different body to us. And slowly come back onto your heels or open your legs. Come into child's pose, relaxing your head on the mat. Relax your arms, relax your shoulders. Perhaps your breath has got a little quicker during this stretching, especially if it's the first time you've done this. So just focus on recovering that breath. Noticing the sensations of the stretch on your body, wakening up your body slowly. Okay, so we're going to move now to some more opening up of the chest and compressing of the spine, particularly the lumbar spine. Come onto your stomach and experiment here. Either the most accessible the most accessible way to access this pose, if you have any issues with your lower back, is simply to lie on the mat. That's option one. This is a nice little back bend, so if you have lower back issues, you may just want to stay here. Otherwise, the elbows slightly in front of your shoulders. And now just check in with your lower back. If you don't feel uncomfortable pinching sensations, then bring your shoulders underneath, bring your elbows underneath your shoulders and relax. And when I say relax, I mean relax the area around the lower back. You can be looking, you can have your head back. This way we are stimulating the thyroid gland. Or if you want to, you can have your head resting in your hands. Some of my students love this option. So this pose is the Sphinx pose. And the reason why I say relax around the buttocks, around the lower back, is because in yin, we relax the area that we are focusing on in order to stimulate it. And that is the lower back. Of course, we are opening up. We continue to open up the front of the chest. So just noticing your breath against the movement of your abdomen against the mat. So in this position, we are compressing the kidney. So the kidney is between the ribs and the back, the lower back. Between the ribs and the pelvis, should I say. And compressing the kidney helps to stimulate and helps it to function more efficiently. So the kidney is responsible for regulating water, regulating the water in our body. And according to traditional Chinese medicine, that is the essence of our body. So the kidney is connected with the essence of our body. And if you think of how important water is, it is really essential for our blood, even for our bones. It's a very nourishing aspect of our body. Now slowly coming down onto your stomach, resting your head on your hands or perhaps on the mat. Relax your arms and your shoulders. Okay, so let's go now to lying on our back. So today we're doing a lot of forward and backward bends, and this is really stimulating for the spine, and it's very stimulating for what we call the meridian lines of the urinary bladder and the kidney. So this one is it has a lovely name. It's called the happy baby, and today we're going to do the half happy baby. So come lying on your back, and here we have three options. So I'm going to start with the right leg, bend the right leg and hold onto the knee and bring the knee to the side of the chest. Option 1, if that's accessible for you. Option 2, hold on to your big toe, bringing your knee to the side of your chest. Or option 3, hold on to the outside of your right foot. So I'm going to start with option 1 and move as I feel more comfortable. So remember, we'll be here for 5 minutes. So settle in to something that feels accessible for you. Remember, as most of you, I imagine, have just woken up, the spine is a little stiff. So it's good to go slowly in these poses when we're starting off. So this is a nice stimulation for the whole of the back. And then also, as you can imagine, it's a great hip opener. And for those of you who know yin, if I bring my foot up, this is essentially the upside down baby dragon. So in the baby dragon, what we do is we stimulate the muscles in the leg that is stretched out. This is called the hip flexors, so the muscles between the pelvis and the leg. And then of course it's a nice groin stretch, so muscles in the groin area, we'll feel a stretch there. So when you go into this position, it's a great opportunity just to check in with the sensations in your body. Just noticing how your body feels, how it reacts to different poses. Remember, in yin, because of our unique body, there will always be some poses that will feel just more accessible to you than others. The ones that are less accessible, we try to work around them. That's why I give you adaptations. So for some people, doing the dragon is very uncomfortable because the knee is compressed. They find it difficult to balance. But like this, we are getting the benefit of the pose without feeling incredibly uncomfortable. Slowly bring that leg down and relax. This is what we call the rebound pose in yin, where we often feel the effect of the pose afterwards as a warm, as a tingling sensation. And essentially it's the effect of the change in the water consistency in the connective tissue. Because when we're stressing the connective tissue, the gel-like substance becomes a little more liquid. And when we move back, we can notice that feeling with these sensations. We can notice that change with the sensations. A type of what they call bioelectricity. So let's move now to the other side. So bend your knee. Start by holding on to your knee, and then later you can experiment with lifting up your foot if that's accessible for you. Notice this side. Perhaps this side is more accessible. It feels there's less tension here than the other side. But remember, it's noticing, no judgment. There's no good or bad. It's just different. So there's no sense of competing. There's no need to copy what I'm doing, because yin is really empowering in that way. It encourages us to explore and discover what adaptations fit our body. So it releases the pressure on all of us. This need to copy. If we don't copy, it's not right. If we don't copy, we're not good enough. And that's why I love yin, because it encourages us to experiment and explore for ourselves, discover our body, and discover what works for us. And as time goes by, wherever you are in this position, you should be able to notice a slight opening of your body. sometimes when we come into a position, perhaps it's strange for the body or new for the body, or perhaps your body has a lot of tension in that area. You may feel that stiffness quite a lot. Go slowly, don't be aggressive. Because by gently stressing or stretching that area, you will begin to notice changes in your body, particularly the area we are stretching. You will notice that it starts to open, it starts to feel more relaxed. Now slowly bring your leg down and notice the sensations in that leg. Now, if you could rock yourself to a seated position, we're just going to do a little counter posture here. So bring your hands behind you, the fingers facing backwards or the fingers facing forwards, whichever is comfortable for you. And then just allow your legs to gently fall from one side to the other. As we get ready for the next pose, okay, so the next pose is, it's a challenging pose. So I'm going to give you the different options. So the pose we're going to do is a saddle. So saddle is sitting on your heels or sitting between your heels. Check that out and see if this is accessible for you. Otherwise, you may want to sit on a bolster. If you feel a lot of tension here in the quadriceps, I would suggest that you basically stay here for 5 minutes. If this is accessible for you, you can take the block out and sitting between your heels, and I'm going to do it with a bolster. So bring a bolster behind you and then slowly bring yourself onto the bolster. Okay, so this is option 1. If you find this totally inaccessible, do the half saddle. So the half saddle would be stretching out one leg and going back onto the bolster, or simply leaning back like this for 2.5 minutes on each side. So I will be doing the whole the saddle, but if you find it more comfortable to do this one, go ahead. Okay, so 5 minutes, whichever option is possible or accessible for you. So with the saddle, there's quite a lot of compression on what they call the sacral lumbar area. And the important thing here is just to really be aware of the knee area. So if you're feeling a pain on the inside or outside of the knee, I would suggest that you don't venture any further, you just stay here. If this sensation is actually in the middle of the knee, that is fine, because it's a nice stimulation for the knee here. And this is very good for runners. So if you are a regular runner, you could feel the quadriceps really stretched here, really stimulated. And then of course we are going to stretch also and stimulate the top of the foot and the ankles and the toes. So it's a really all-round opening up. And then as you feel comfortable, you can bring your arms, your elbows down. And here what we are feeling is a real opening up of the front body. So what I'd like to do when I come into this pose is just always listen to my body. Don't dive into this pose too aggressively unless you just love it and you find it really accessible. If you like from here, you can let your head drop back. It's a fantastic neck stretch, stimulation for your thyroid. If you are doing the half saddle now, you should change to the other side. If not, if you are with me, you can relax down onto the bolster and just enjoy the wonderful feeling of opening up from your knees to your muscles here, and also the opening up of your chest. If you feel any sharp pinching sensations in the knee, please come up slowly. In the yin, we are looking for, yin is an uncomfortable practice, but we're not looking for pain. Especially as we are dealing with joints, we should always be very aware and mindful of pain in the joints. So if you are feeling relaxed in this pose, focusing on the movement of your diaphragm or the movement of your abdomen, it's very nourishing because we are allowing space for the diaphragm to function correctly. To function efficiently. The breathing is nourishing all the cells of our body. Now slowly, very slowly, come up. Bring the bolster to the side. Stretch out your legs, and we're going to lie down on the back. Oh, groaning is allowed. You could feel, particularly in the knees, you could feel quite a lot of stretch in the quadriceps. Just enjoy it. Now we're going to move to a counter pose, which is the caterpillar. So come seated on your mat, or if you need, many of us when we're moving forward, it's not very accessible for us, so I would suggest sitting on a bolster. This allows you to tilt the pelvis forward more, and it gives you more accessibility when you move forward. If you find the hamstrings very tight, I would suggest placing blocks underneath, because here we are focusing on stretching the hamstrings, and if this is not accessible for you, if you place the blocks underneath, you are supporting the bones, and so you will be able to access more the stretch. So what I would suggest here is you can experiment with having the legs together or the legs apart. The important thing here, the target area, is the hamstrings. So just check in, is it better when you have the legs together or when you have the legs apart? So we're going to be here for 5 minutes. So wherever you feel comfortable, moving forward, you can create a little tower and move forward onto the tower, leaning your head on the tower. Notice that I have my back rounded. My back is not straight, as in similar looking yoga poses. The back is rounded in order to stretch the ligaments along the back of the spine. If the back is straight, we are activating the muscles in the back of the spine. And as your body opens up, you may feel the possibility of moving a little forward, or perhaps not. It depends on your body. The important thing always to remember is, do I feel a stretch in my hamstrings? And that's the most important thing. And as we are bending forward, we are also compressing the internal organs, stomach, and this is also helping with digestion. So the forward bends are great for a sense of introspection. It's quite a inward-looking pose, inviting us to reflect a little. Reflect on
sensations in your body, your breath. Reflect is not to start planning your day. Reflect is inviting you to enjoy this moment, enjoy this time that you've set aside for yourself. To connect with your body and your breath. And most of all, to calm your mind. Because when we breathe slower, the mind becomes more relaxed as we are triggering the calmer nervous system in our body.
So slowly come up. And we're going to move right away now to one of my favorite poses for opening up the front of the body. And in this one, we're also going to stay here for 5 minutes. And I have 3 alternatives here. So, alternative 1, bring your arms and clasp your forearms. Option 1. If that feels comfortable, grab onto your elbows. And if that is fine, there's no problem with that one, bring your hands into a reverse prayer position. Okay? So let's start with that with 5 minutes. What I would suggest, if this is new for you, start with option 1, and then as you feel more comfortable, then you can move into the other options. So remembering always to listen to your body. And so here, as you can feel, I'm really opening up my front body. The shoulders are back. Remember to keep your spine long. And avoid hunching forward. That's really important. Just bringing yourself up. And then if you feel more comfortable, you can experiment with the other adaptations. Otherwise, stay where you are. Just focusing on your breath. And your shoulders, because what we're doing here is we're really working on opening up the chest and working on the shoulders, especially the muscles between the shoulder blades. And if you can manage the reverse prayer position, this is really great if you do a lot of typing, which a lot of us do during the day. It's great for the wrist tendons. Lots of stretching for the wrist tendons. And also, of course, you'll notice more of a stretch in your arms as you do this position. Above all, focusing on the breath. Noticing perhaps how a lot of tension you have in your shoulders. During the day we hunch a lot. Most of us have a really bad posture when we're sitting. We're not even aware of it. But when we hunch, we compress the diaphragm. The diaphragm, that muscle that helps us to breathe. It's between the upper and lower part of the body. And by compressing it, we prevent it from efficiently working and helping us to breathe properly. And this also connects with anxiety and stress, because when we are stressed or anxious, we are triggering what they call the fight and flight system, which is the system in the body that gets us ready to run away from being attacked by a tiger, for example. But we don't need that anymore. Well, most of us don't. But what happens is that we remain in that system when we are stressed. So when we are stressed, we are breathing a lot up in the top of the chest. And if we never take a break, we will literally burn out. If we never take off time to focus on the deeper breathing, to focus on opening up the chest, to relax, and to trigger that calmer nervous system, we will effectively go into a vicious circle of becoming more and more nervous and anxious. Now slowly bring your arms down and place them on your knees, noticing sensations in your shoulders and in your arms. And we're going to finish now with one of my favorite poses. And we're going to stay here for 5 minutes. So if you need to leave, I'm sorry that you'll be missing this wonderful pose, but I'll be here for the next 5 minutes, so we'll be finishing about 3 minutes later. So bring a bolster behind you, stretch your legs out, and lie down. Your head must be supported. So this is option 1 if you have a bolster. And option 2 is if you have blocks, you can use the blocks. So I put them in a T shape, like this. The lengthwise is where the shoulders are, and the other one is for the head. So enjoy. Sometimes it's a bit complicated to find the right position, but once you found it, I promise you, you will never look back. So coming down and leaning your head onto the block. So this is the quintessential pose for me, opening up the body. So stretching the abdomen, the chest, the shoulders, a nice stretch for the neck because it's extended backwards. And once again, the digestion, once again, the diaphragm has space. And you can connect to really efficient breathing. Relax your shoulders, relax your arms, and feel the effect of this delicious pose on opening the different parts of your body. Now slowly lift yourself off the bolster or the block and lie down. Now bring yourself to a seated position. What I always suggest after a yin practice is that you lie down for at least 5 minutes so the effect of this wonderful practice can be absorbed by your system. So lie down, relax for 5 minutes, and thank you very much for joining me. It's lovely to have you with me, and have a wonderful day. I hope this practice has made you focus a lot more on your breathing and how important it is for our everyday well-being and happiness. Take care and see you next week. Bye.